Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Once again, simulcasting on Rumble and Utizzle. I almost had to dip out of Rumble. I was having trouble going on to their studio. But anyway, folks, I'm here. And we're going to be going over a lot of stuff. We got a lot of resistance from these courts and a lot of crazy stuff happening. A judge who was harboring a dangerous individual. His house got raided by ICE. His wife is in ICE custody. But anyway, I want to see if I got a good stream going on here, and I'm going to play some blasts from the past and see if I got a good stream going, and then we're going to be like butter and get on a roll.
Second, and I this today is a travesty. I think hearing this is a case, this was searched for by staffers of members of the committee, was then leaked to the media, and this committee and this body validated it and displayed it at prime time over our entire nation. How would any member on this committee, any person in this room, or any person in this country would like sleaze said about him or her in this fashion, or this dirt dredged up, and this gossip and these lies displayed in this manner? How would any person like it? The Supreme Court is not worth it. No job is worth it. I'm not here for that. I'm here for my name, my family, my life, and my integrity. I think something is dreadfully wrong with this country when any person in this free country would be subjected to this. This is not a closed room. There was an FBI investigation. This is not an opportunity to talk about difficult matters privately or in a closed environment. This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. And from my standpoint, as a black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured by a committee of the U.S. Senate rather than hung from a tree.
Unquestionable at this point that man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
Look at them, they're everywhere!
Dogs, you must move your head.
Shenzo, you died, and I'd never got the chance to say goodbye.
Donald, I don't say goodbye. You need to remember your training. Move your head. I cannot explain. I must go.
Wait, Shenzo, if I never see you again, I'd see you later, Space Cowboy.
But you will see me again, because there is one last thing that I must do.
Months old, and If you want to really see something that's said, take
Thank you, Jim's
I'll guard the roads, and I'll guard the skies.
Storm zone. Yes, sir. I'm wondering what storm you're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Now think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give the president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off. Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists. I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take.
Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man. How you all doing tonight? I'm glad, Angela, that you have got your sister home. That's good to hear. Everybody's happy for you. And somebody put an F word in my chats and it was taken out. Please don't do that again. I'm not calling out any names. You know what I'm saying? Hi, Todd. How you doing? Sissy, nice to see you. Mac is here. All right. Nice to see you. Remember, we might have some little children's watching my videos in the future, way in the future, long after we're gone. You know what I'm saying? Hi, Robin. Nice to see you. Debbie, Jess and Bean. Wayne's here giving me a thumbs up. Doc's giving me a thumbs up too, I know. And Rebecca has. She got one. Make sure you hit that Podge. 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 That thumbs up button. And yeah, I don't know how to spell it. I've done my ciphering in school. So let's see. Debbie's here. Darla's here. William, nice to see you, William. Miss Mendersoo. Ha-ha, Whiskey's here. How you doing, Whiskey? Like I said, I remembered that guy's name last night because of Ezra Brooks. Brush, how you doing? Sherry's here. Oh, my. Pappy Two Bears is here. That's good. Everybody's rolling in. Kicking Birds here. KNS Cleanup's here. Darla's here. Everybody's here. Where's my newcomers? Sherry, Justin's here. All right, he made it. All right, folks. Well, I got on the screen there. What do I got on the screen? I got a picture. Wait a minute. That's not the right one. Hold on. I got a picture of Al Sharpton. There he is. And this is a good time to thank Gary for supporting my broadcast the other night. I set bombs off. I go boom, boom, and I don't like doing bombs when I got somebody I like on the screen. I want to blow Al Sharpton up. Thank Gary for helping the channel out and buy me a coffee. I got a link in the description. Anybody wants to help out, let's see when this bomb goes off. I just lit the fuse. Bam! There you go. Yeah, there. Thank you, Gary. And here we go again. Boom! One more. Pow! right on top of his head. Okay. I'll do. Hi, Yvonne. How you doing, Judy? Nice to see you. One more. Pow! I got to find my bullet holes. That's the ones I like. Where are they? Where's my bullet holes? When I got Al Sharpton up there, I might as well fart around with some bullet holes. Let's see. I don't. Oh, come on. Oh, what's this? Let me see. Let me upload it and see if it'll show on the screen. What does it do? I got a mystery. Oh, there's my bullet holes. I got a mystery icon I've never used. I hit the button there. Oh, uh-oh. Ha-ha. Uh-oh. Al Sharpton, pal. Well, anyway, so I'm just farting around with my special effects, and I know I should get on with a program. But remember that judge we talked about last night was harboring those fugitives, and I put his picture on the screen and all that stuff. Pow! There's a bullet hole. Takes that. Pow! 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 How you like the bullet? What do you like better, the bombs or the pow, pow, or the bullet holes? Pow! I don't want to hit Mr. T. So anyway, that's enough of that. See if I missed anybody. All right. So anyway, I don't think I missed anybody. If I did, I apologize. So a blast from the past about Clarence Thomas. And is he going to be stepping up into the role of Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice? I hope that's the case. Because, I look back at things and I say, okay, like Alfredo Garcia, that was a setup. I will preface it by saying it wouldn't surprise me if that was a setup. Because all we found was some court document withholding him from Guatemala. Nothing to do with El Salvador. And his father was a former policeman. Was he a dirty cop? Did he have to flee El Salvador? Wait a minute. Did he have gang ties? Because Alfredo certainly had human trafficking ties. The van he was driving in when he got pulled over and mysteriously was let go, seemingly by the direction of someone way up in the administration, shuttling people back and forth from Texas to Maryland, driving the same van as a man who had already been convicted of human trafficking. So it's also very interesting about this situation. Now we're seeing these milestone court cases, court hearings, and judges popping up out of the ground in all these different states that they have to go root out of their deep state closet to get them to do extraordinary rulings, trying to tie Donald Trump's hands, the President of the United States, over an issue, if I'm not mistaken, has been declared a national emergency, border security, where he's also done a I'm trying to put this video up. I want to show y'all where he's made a decree about these predatory incursions, okay? A special act to protect nation's security. And these judges can I don't believe they can. But I tell you something else too. I'm going to play this video. The reason I'm putting this video up, I like this judge. Why isn't she on the federal bench? We got good judges. But anyway, remember I said check out Alfredo Garcia's so-called wife or spouse or whatever she is. And you might find through the Department of Agriculture maybe some misrepresentations on food stamp applications. Where was Alfredo Garcia residing? Was he residing with his old lady who was getting all kinds of benefits for her children because she was a noble single mother struggling on her own? Would there be any fraud with HUD involved? On top of what else is going on? And how long is it? How long has this been going on? But anyway, so I brought that up in the past. And then don't you know, I run across this little video here. I hope you enjoy it.
How old are you?
20.
Like, how do you make money to eat?
I have a boyfriend that supports me.
Are you living with him?
He lives with me. I have my own apartment. Here through housing.
All right, so this is what I know about housing, because I used to do CPS cases. If you're on housing, your boyfriend's not supposed to be living with you. And honestly, your boyfriend's not supporting you. You know who's supporting you? Everybody in here who has a job and pays taxes. I'm supporting you. Your attorney's supporting you. All the attorneys who are in here supporting you. Anybody in the gallery who has a job is supporting you. So your boyfriend is not supporting you. And what I'm going to tell you right now, if your boyfriend is living with you and you're on housing, guess what? If the government finds out about it, which usually they do, you're going to end up having charges because they're going to want their money back. And this is the way the government works. The government doesn't tell you.
That's where the video cut off. But you guys get the gist. I'm not a prophet. You know, I don't have a crystal ball. I just think about things to try to put two and two together. So maybe she can have a GoFundMe. Does Garcia have a GoFundMe? So, hi, this is Justin. How you doing? Ronald, how you doing? Linda's here. Miss Mendersue's here. Let's see. I thought I saw. Well, maybe I didn't. I thought I saw somebody else. But anyway. So there you go. There's a little case that happened. And did anybody hear anything about what they're doing with this LGBTQ garbage? Here's a video I had yesterday that I didn't have time to play. You know, they're going around Maryland, you know, since he was a Maryland man. You know, and this was filmed before the latest mother lost her life at the hands of someone who shouldn't even be in this country. But even without that, there's no support for these people.
He was living in Maryland, designated MS13 terrorist, and Donald Trump deported him. How does that make you feel?
I feel safer.
He gotta go. He gotta go.
Need to go. I mean, that's it.
But he was a father.
But he's still a terrorist.
Okay. I mean, but there's children living without fathers now.
He should have picked and choose, so he picked to be a terrorist instead of worrying about his children.
The Democrats, they want him back. They say he was wrongfully deported. He has a wife and a kid who's a citizen. They're calling this a national emergency. Is this a national emergency?
I wouldn't call it a national emergency. We got more things going on.
We have more things, more fish to fry.
I just found out about it, so I don't think so. What kind of national emergency? For what? What is the emergency for?
Ain't no national emergency, no.
He was accused of hitting his wife twice and was a suspected human smuggler. Was he wrongfully deported?
No. He need to go.
If he's a smuggler, yeah, he need to be deported.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Your senator here, Chris Van Hollen, he flew to El Salvador where this guy was deported. He met with him, had lunch with them, had margaritas on the table. What's up with your senator?
I have no idea, but I do believe that was a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Margaritas.
You agreeing with somebody whipping their wife, terrorizing where you live, then you don't need to live here either.
Senator Van Hollen, you need to come see me, Mr. Coley, because you doing like that. You need to take care of home before you go in other states.
He went to El Salvador.
Oh, that's another country, excuse me.
What has Senator Chris Van Hollen ever done for you?
Nothing.
Nothing. For me, nothing.
Nothing that I know of.
He ain't do me. I can admit that.
I've never even heard of this person.
Do you want Kilmar Abrego Garcia, this quote-unquote Maryland dad, living back in Maryland?
No. No.
No. No.
Not if he's doing trafficking, no. Why the I want somebody like that back? No.
What is your message to the Democrats who really want him back in your community?
Why would you want that in my community? Bring it to your community and see how long you like it up there.
Leave them, or y'all go over there with them.
You're focused on the wrong thing.
If they illegal.
I don't know why it cut off there, but it did. Yeah, Debbie, that's what I was saying. I was saying last week about his children. Mama's baby, daddy's maybe, right? And doesn't surprise me. But I can tell you what, he's for years and years, if he was living with that lady, bringing in money, living off HUD for free and food stamps, right? You know, speaking of judges, have y'all heard this one? I've talked about other judges. You know, here's convicted of second-degree murder, and it's a sad story. Judges are human beings, and they have human frailty, and they also are susceptible to evil. So, you know, this business of March goose step to every ruling that comes out from these people. We don't know these people. What we've got going on with the ones that are trying to hamper the national drive to straighten our country out. They're mostly Obama appointees. Many of them really have bizarre backgrounds, in my opinion. Even on the Supreme Court. I talked about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, where she was advocating 12-year-olds being, let's just say, eligible for relationships in some of her thesis papers. And, of course, Obama's thesis papers are all sealed. They won't let us look at them. What kind of nightmares are in there? What kind of political thinking is being expressed in his papers? So I think we have a right to demand it and a right to know. But this judge, he's probably going to be doing 20 to life. And I talked about the weed eater judge who sent deputies to go at 11 o'clock at night to the wrong house and somebody lost their life. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that goes on with judges. They're human. That's why they have to be continuing education. Well, I guess the courtroom is continuing education. But you have people put in federal judgeships, many of whom have never even practiced law. Look at Elena Kagan. She's a Supreme Court justice. All she did was clerk. Now she's a Supreme Court justice. But out of all the screwballs that we got on the court, and the real screwballs are Ketanji Brown and Sotomayor. I think they're the two worst. But Kagan, at least, about this these books they want to put in the schools, is exercising some common sense. I too was struck by these young kids' picture books and on matters concerning S3 actuality. I suspect there are a lot of non-religious parents who weren't at all thrilled by this. A lot of people were saying, why does it have to be religious parents that can opt out? How about parents that just, know it's unnatural and weird? Even more serious. So she better be leaning. I didn't get a chance to do a thumbnail, but I was going to put a picture of the Supreme Court and put the words on there, who is unfit to serve. I think these judges are being evaluated, every single one of them. And we've had just in one day, the most insane rulings where Trump has to continue to give money to colleges that support DEI, which is discrimination, outright discrimination. Another judge ordered another Venezuelan to come back. I think I've got that in my quiver here. But anyway, another one. Garcia, because he's turning out to be spoiled goods. Maybe somebody else is asking questions about why his ex-policeman father went to Guatemala, took the family, and his ties, and the fact that this wrongfully deported to El Salvador was a setup and a ruse and a hoax planted by a holdover that they call a White House official, a Trump lawyer. No, it was not a Trump lawyer. So we're finding out all this stuff. Here's what whitehouse.gov put out. Something pretty simple. Oh, come on, screen. There, they say you got to give them notice in their language, right? Well, how about pictures? There you are, crossing the border, MS13, handcuffs, CCOT. See? There's your notice. And I might get a clip of Andrew Branco where he was going over this issue. And I put in a super chat, my first super chat. And apparently my last, because I can't get in there. They asked for all this passcodes and everything like that. I'm like, what the heck? So anyway, I gave it a try, but I put in there that the proclamation itself was notice. Remember that, folks? I was talking about the town crier back in the day. What the hell do they think public proclamations being required are for? Every nation on the face of the earth that has television played Trump, his proclamation. That's called public notice. On top of that, you got to give them a little typed out piece of paper for them to read and then 30 days to think about it. So they got to get back to basics. Back to basics and stop with the pettifogging. Is it pettifogging or is it being a Confederate? I put in my thumbnail a list of Confederates. And a Confederate is somebody that's helping the cause. Whatever the cause is, that's what they called, among other words, like rebels. Back in the Civil War, rebels, Confederates. Okay? And I've used the other term, renegades. Betraying a cause. Are they really exercising jurisprudence, or are they aiding and abetting? Are they a part of these schemes to defraud the American people of control over their own country by pettifogging issues and twisting the law to serve their desires. Okay. I'll take a quick break. From the judges, this is what the official Trump store put out. Trump 2028 hat. That will really get him going. Get a screenshot of that and put it on your meta page for people to get wound up over. Better yet, let them know you can buy a shirt. Eric Trump put this up. Eric Trump posted this. Go to Trump's store and get some really nice stuff. So Trump's keeping them guessing. And you know me, I analyze the situation and say to myself, how could he do it? How could he do it? I'm going to give you all a secret. Citizens Free Press put this up. If MAGA hats don't, I told you that I had a notion about how Trump could do it, right? And I said I better not spill the beans. How many of you all remember me saying that? And there's so many clips that have come and gone, but there was one clip where Trump was getting interviewed. And I told you that he looked like he was actually shocked. He was asked a question. And it's hard to shock Trump. He looked taken aback. And the question was, have you ever thought about a sabbatical? You could see the change in his expression for an instant of shock. And then, of course, being the professional that he is and the level-headed person he's become by dodging these slings and arrows and putting up with all this pressure and stress, he leveled off and said, oh, I've kind of thought about it. Look up the term sabbatical. Do you know that there are a lot of states and federal law that if someone wants to take a sabbatical from their position, their job has to be held for them? What if he served 23 months, 29 days, and then took a sabbatical? And then said, oh, I'm going to run in 2028. Because how many times have we heard, depends on what you mean by term, when they said a president can only have 2 terms, and they said, well, I think Steve Bannon said it. That depends on how you define a term. So that's just one thing to chew on, folks. Does that sound like it has any merit to you all? I'm looking in the chats. Who did I miss? Flannel Cheese is here. How you doing? Karen is smart. Yeah, Kagan. Yeah. She's smart, but I don't agree with her, but we'll see. She could be a dopey liberal about some issues and get voted down. But if these people, Ketanji Brown, Sonia Sotomayor, if they betray the Constitution in their opinions, I think they should be removed. But anyway, folks, does that sound like it makes a little sense to you? That's one of the options. Right, doesn't say consecutive terms is another. Yeah, Todd, parents took a sabbatical. But I think it's on the table. But there's something else. Something else besides consecutive terms, besides taking a sabbatical, where he's serving less than half of the term by 1 day. There's another option. Anybody got any guesses what the option is? How Trump 2028 could come to fruition? Remember when he's doing that speech and he really made him mad? He said, I don't know, it could be 2024, 2028, 2032. And they were all going, hey, he wants to be a dictator. Any other ideas? While you all are thinking about that, we need to send this to Elena Kagan. Letting characters out of jail that had child PRON, okay? So you're saying that tobacco products on race cars will make me want to smoke, but gay and drag queen storybooks won't influence my life choices? Get you a little screenshot of that. I don't see any other ideas, any other notions. Here's a picture. I think Dan Squino put this up. Twin 100-foot flags to flank the White House. Won't that look nice? 100 foot. Fraud vitiates. Yeah, that's true. Pappy Two Bears, that's another guess. That's another guess. Remember this 100-foot flagpole stuff, okay? I'm going to come back to that. Going to come back to that. But that would certainly look nice, I think. Well, I'll go ahead and spill the beans on what I think is going to be the ultimate strategy. Junior is going to start being more in the public eye. I think he's the apprentice. The apprentice. I think his brother, Don Jr., has too much baggage. Too much baggage, and is a little too... But Eric is a good boy. Eric is smart. And Eric went through hell on the New York cases. And he is thought highly of. How many times did you see Carolina with Grandpa talking about Carolina during his speeches? But I think you're looking at part of the deck of cards, and we know somewhere in there, maybe 20 years from now, 25 years from now, Barron. Yeah, Eric runs the Trump empire. And Don Jr.'s kind of a gadabout. He's kind of a gadabout. He uses risque language, and, people are, his choices, with Kimberly Guilfoyle, her prior choices with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom suing over the tariffs of all things. That's going to go nowhere. But they're just playing with our money. The people of California, they're just wasting their tax dollars, wasting our president's time. These liberal eggheads. Here's an egghead. I had to get live, so I didn't have time to find it. But I wanted to play another video after this, but many of you will remember it. Look at this athlete here. Noodle arms, spaghetti arms, probably a vegan, and knows how to tell everybody how to live their lives. Probably like Tim Walsh learned how to govern from China.
Go on, Tony.
He won the Ferry Bowl. He won the Ferry Bowl. Tony Evers, Wisconsin governor? The other one I was going to play after this, but I had to go live, was Keir Starmer hitting a heavy bag like a girl. This guy just showed throws like a girl, runs like a girl. Not anything against girls, but yeah. He sure did look like one. Speaking of that, this morbid curiosity I found on Truth Social. And before you hear him out, I might interrupt. Just remember, it's people like this for the last 20 years and accelerated in the last 10 years with Obama and his spouse. These people get grant money. These people get favorable college loans. They get plum or cherry jobs in do-nothing governments. That's how they get to where they think they're so damn brilliant and they live a comfortable life. But anyway, listen to this moron. That's what I think he is. Oh, no, wait a minute. I'll get my headphones on. I want to hear him too because I might want to interject. You know, I got to stick this little bud in my ear hole, and because I want to hear his prattle too. Because I might pause the video and make a. No, I won't be rude. Don't worry about that. I won't do that.
This is just a gentle reminder that male and female sexual organs are made from the same embryonic tissue, and that means that a penis is a clitoris. It is the exact same thing, just protruding or ovaries are the exact.
Well, it's a good thing it's got words underneath because he's talking very softly. But of course they're made from the same embryonic tissue, you nitwit. So your head is actually just like your ASS, all right? Your deformed head with a soy-soaked brain all came from the same embryonic tissue. You moron.
Same thing. We are all sexless in the womb, and we just get pushed to one side of the spectrum or another. Even our chromosomes are not binary. There are many different variations beyond XX and XY. And even if you have XX or XY, the expression of those chromosomes is an infinite spectrum. Sex is a spectrum. It is not.
Yeah, well, I think the court ought to mandate that you are neutered. And did you see the pink fingernails? Sorry, I meant to bring that up. And that you can't go around schools or anywhere the children gather, like playgrounds, libraries, parks. Okay? And then, fine, you think and do what you want to think and do. But, yeah, these people are getting favored treatment, and they're picking our pocket. They're eating our lunch and popping the bag in our face. Did you notice how that governor that won the Ferry Bowl, he's on waterfront property. Most of them are. You go to any coastal area, any area where there's a lake or a big river or something like that, the majority of the people are government workers because they have a stable income and they can afford the higher prices. But you know what? That's not going to last. And that's why they're desperate. Oh, here's that story popped up. I got it about, 9:30 or so. And much ado about nothing. But here's that judge. There's his wife, probably her best side we're looking at. New Mexico judge's wife in ICE's custody. ICE effected the arrest following alleged Tren de Aragua member investigation. Why is she in ICE custody? Well, aiding and abetting, I would imagine, or maybe, who knows? Maybe she doesn't have her paperwork. I don't know. Or it could be that extra boom I talked about that nobody talks about. Just like I used to talk about birthright citizenship was a fraud by bureaucratic fiat. I also brought up last night about a 10-year period where if you violate the laws of this land in a certain way, you can have your citizenship stripped from you for a 10-year period after you swear an oath to this country and are you have a 10-year period where they can kick your feet out from under you and off you go. So who knows? But they're in trouble. And that judge is also in trouble. I showed you all that little news blurb last night that said Supreme Court was going to have a public hearing about this judge on the 24th. And I said, I don't know if that was the Supreme Court or the state Supreme Court. And then this morning I heard that the state Supreme Court heard it yesterday and suspended his license for life. I knew that. I knew his license was suspended for life. But I'm like, wait a minute. How come that news report said the 24th? Hi, Colette. How you doing? Anyway, they play games. They deflect so people don't hear the whole thing. I got this. I just took a screenshot of this because what a ridiculous video to put up. What a dopey. This is Fox 45 News. Does it take an expert? Members of Congress should be wary of frequent Salvadorian trips. They have made idiots of themselves. There are 1, 2, 3. I think 4 of them went. 4 of them went all with their noses in the air and their rear ends on their shoulders, going to tell everybody what to do. But they need an expert to tell them that they're stepping in their own mess. But, yeah, there's a big backlash about this. And it might be part of the purpose. Here we had Rubio get up there and talk to everybody like they're 5-year-olds. Okay, is this what it takes? The Secretary of State to talk to these morons like they're 5-year-olds?
Mass migration is almost entirely based on an incentive system. People were coming to this country under Joe Biden because words, they would be allowed to come in and they would be allowed to stay. Almost 90% success rate if you said the magic words. So people were coming. Now they know that if they come, they won't get to stay, and they've stopped coming, which is why it's the most secure border we've had in modern history. And in fact, We've seen a new phenomenon, which is people that were on their way here sort of do a U-turn and go back. We've seen that play out. And that's an enormous achievement because it stops the problem. That still leaves us with a fundamental challenge. And that is that we have in this country millions of people, some who have been here many years, some who have been here for a year and a half or two, who are unlawfully in the United States. And it's this simple. If you say the speed zone is 70 miles an hour, but people know they're not going to get a ticket unless they go 90 miles an hour, no one's going to drive under the speed limit. You have to have laws, and laws have to be enforced. If you don't enforce your laws, then your laws become meaningless. And that's what's happened in this country over the last 20 years. We were not enforcing our immigration laws, and now we are. Obviously, they're going to prioritize the most dangerous people, dangerous criminals. If you look at the manifest of these flights of people that are being deported, these are some of the most vile human beings imaginable that we're getting out of our country: sex offenders, rapists, killers. That's who we're prioritizing and being sent out. But let there be no doubt, we have immigration laws. And if you are in violation of those immigration laws, you have no right to be in the country. Now, some will choose to leave voluntarily. Others may get caught up and be forced to leave. But they are prioritizing the most dangerous. But that said, you have to have there's no point in having immigration laws if you have no intent to enforce them.
That's about talking to 5-year-olds. How hard is this to understand, you nitwits? And like I was saying, in just one day, you have judges force people, try to force Trump to finance sanctuary cities, won't hold their money back, fund DEI, bring back another illegal alien, totally contrary to established operation of law. What happens when you have judges repeatedly want to violate standard operations of law? That's something I put up a little too soon. I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, this is a big story that and Pam Bondi is going to be charging this guy, but it's a illegal alien who was a repeat offender and was driving on over 100 miles an hour, brain soaked in alcohol, very, very drunk. I think he was smoking dope on top of that. Crashed into these two young kids that were dating, teenagers or early 20s. No, I believe they were teenagers. And they burned alive in the car. Horrible, horrible wreck. He got sentenced to a lousy 10 years. But now they want to release him after serving 3. And what is bizarre is that somehow the parents got notification that he was getting out early over Easter weekend. A slap in the face. To me, a psychological assault on this family. But then it started. You lawyers that threatened to go to all 94 districts across the country if the Supreme Court didn't do what they wanted over Easter weekend. That was the same kind of maliciousness during a holiday. I would say disdain. But this guy apparently is going to be charged with something that's going to give him some serious time. And then after he serves it, he'll be deported, period. So let's watch how many roadblocks they put up for that. Here we have the most recent idiot judge. Let me see. Oh, I'm not sure that's the one I want. It is a judge that, let me find it. either ordered deportation stopped or, let's see, Trump, here it is. I had the whole article, but I ain't reading all that propaganda. The bottom line is Trump appointed judge orders return of Venezuelan migrant deported to El Salvador. Now, this one they claim is the nickname or the alias for this person is Kristen, not Christian, Kristen. A judge ruled Wednesday that the Trump administration must facilitate the return of a 20-year-old migrant who was deported last month because his removal violated a class action lawsuit settled last year. Wow, isn't that familiar? Remember I told you all I was trying to do business with somebody I flippantly nicknamed the Mystery Mexican because he would not give me pertinent information, but he wanted to do real estate with me. This was approximately 6 or 7 years ago. 7. And a mutual friend said, well, he's a guy that got deported and he sued. His lawyer sued because they took him to the wrong country and he won $250,000. And I was like, oh my God, that's our money. I wonder if he, well, anyway, this guy apparently was in the same situation. But then once you're declared Tren de Aragua or MS13, these evaporate, okay? Not according to this judge. This judge says the designation by Marco Rubio as Secretary of State or the proclamation signed by the president cannot pierce this safety net set up by egghead liberals. So I said, well, let me look him up. This judge, the new one I haven't heard of yet, out of California. His name. See, look at him here. A soy-infested liberal. Egghead. William, what's that name? Orrick? The third lawyer and former judge of the United States District Court for the Northern District of California. Former? Did I read that right? Yeah. See, I jumped right on it before anybody changed the page. Why do I think that's important? It says former judge of the United States District Court. I said the same thing about Beryl Howell. I had an article where I thought it said she was retired. So are they judge shopping? They're getting down to the point where they have to have judges come out of retirement to handle specific cases because of their political beliefs or their Confederate leanings? I'm wondering. No, they didn't have time to go in there and change former judge. So I'm saying, I'm being a conspiracy theorist. Beryl Howell, Trump truthed about her. How does she end up getting my cases? Like the Perkins Coie case. I went on to read it. Parents. William Horsley Orrick. Do you know worms can reproduce by themselves? Did you know worms could reproduce by themselves? How many people in chats know that fact? Look it up. They taught us that in biology. Worms. All by their lonesome. It doesn't say a mother. I'm not saying William Horsley Orrick, I guess the second, was a worm. But there you have it. Orrick III is an American lawyer who serves as a senior United States District Judge. See, I understand if they retire that they can elect to take cases after their retirement, or they can be called upon under special circumstances, like a judge has to recuse themselves and they need another judge to step in, or if there's an emergency or whatever, after they're hung up their spurs. So here it says he's serving as a senior United States District Judge, United States District Court for Northern District of California, where with his tidy sum of money for being in the country illegally, but I guess didn't have his rights printed in Espanol. So anyway, I said, well, let me look a little farther. Quick facts. He's 71 years of age, born 53. Parents, William Horsley Orrick. Oh, really? No mom? Professions. Judge, lawyer. What does that say? No goggling, folks. No cheating in the chats and goggling. Have you all ever seen that word before? QADI? Quaddy? Quaddy? That's his profession. One of his 3 professions, they put this. Okay. This again. Courtroom 2, 17th floor, 450 Golden Gate Avenue. With his worm-like father. So, word, Quaddy. Do y'all know what it means? Be honest. What does it mean, folks? See if I get any guesses. No goggling. And it doesn't have anything to do with the letter, 17th letter. No, this is a black hat to the bone, baby. A black hat to the bone. And like I said, we're making a list. We're pulling them out of semi-retirement or whatever you want to call it. Linda said no clue. Todd said he's a clone. Dun, 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 boom, boom. Okay. Quaddy. Let's see. What did Goggle tell me about Quaddy? Goggle? That is a magistrate or judge of a Sharia court. Can you say Ilhan Omar? Can you say Rashida Tlaib? Which also exercises extrajudicial functions, such as mediation, guardianship over orphans and minors, and supervision and auditing of public works. That's right, Pappy Two Bears, Arabic. And that's exactly what we're looking at. We don't practice Sharia law. Sharia law is incompatible with the Constitution. But, he is an official Quadi. And who's his mother? What is Quadi in Islam? No mention of his name, of his mother's name, only his father. And he is an expert in Islamic law, Sharia law. And the first page I put up, you all saw it. Whoa, my screen's freezing. My apologies. My apologies. There we go. First screen, former judge. Well, he's not former anymore. He's challenging the President of the United States, throwing a cog in on a situation that is a national emergency and subject of a presidential proclamation. Here's another one. Whoa. Here's another. Clinton judge partially blocks Trump's election integrity executive order. She including requiring proof of citizenship. Well, she's trying to imitate Trump's hair. But I wonder if she's got a mother. I didn't get a chance to look up this thing, but so here we have, of all the other things that said happened in one day, you have another judge pop up out of the ground and say, you don't got to prove your citizenship to vote. I guess that's might be Sharia law too. I don't know. Welcome to the new caliphate. I don't know. Dan Scavino put this up. Trump is keeping a good attitude and moving right along. And Dan Scavino puts this picture up. Aggravate a lot of liberals. Trump's new Trump portrait spotted in the White House next to Hillary Clinton's. Ha ha ha! There you have his profile picture from Truth Social, hanging next to the Hildebeest. Yeah, well, is it a dude in drag? The one I just had up? Who the hell knows? Well, this is all being played out in front of America. Whoa. And here's what we're starting to see from it. Democrats' approval plummets among young voters. What we've talked about in the past. Instinct, natural law. The lesson from the Garden of Eden. What do I mean by that? I always said God was not a helicopter parent. God knew the serpent was in the garden. God laid out the choice. And he said, you shall die if you do this one thing. And it played out. And we learn from our actions and behaviors, much like many of us wish the Mesoamericans would have learned when Cortez was there. No, you don't got to go up the steps of the temple and get your heart cut out and held up to the sun. But anyway, I'm getting a little why, but it's true. Many different civilizations, many different thoughts and designs. But after a while, your instinct kicks in and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And what is natural, what is good, and what pleases God is instinctual. Did you ever see somebody that really, it's kids mostly, that really haven't had a lot of experience, haven't had a lot of teaching, haven't been through theological classes or read the entire Bible, or anything. But when they do something wrong and they innately know it, you see it in their eyes. A little bit of fear and shame. Okay? So there is a human intellectual element that is innate, INATE. So young people are seeing this three-ring circus and are saying, these people are flipping nuts. Because the reason I say that is because social media and the mainstream media have had the steering wheel for years. We've had nefarious forces censoring normal thought, okay, religious thought, conservative thought for over a decade. Hostile, aggressive censorship. And the mainstream media being in charge of, well, look what they've done to a lot of the boomer population, twisting their brains. So these, I guess they call them millennials. No. Generation Z, is that it? They're not buying it. Y and Z aren't buying it. But here's Harry Eden. He's having a good time. Ha ha, let's have a good time with him. Talking. Listen. Democrats, I was going to put in my title, Democrats are revolting. And the rest are leaving the party. Okay? In other words, the only ones that are going to be left in the Democrat Party are revolting, and I don't mean it in a revolutionary sense. They are revolting. And the rest of the Democrats are leaving the party. That's going to be the end of the story.
Yeah, this, I think, is a revolt that is going on within the Democratic Party right now, Democrats and their leaders. I mean, take a look nationally. Hello, Democrats on Dem leaders in Congress. The belief that they will do the right thing when it comes to the economy. Last year at this time, 80% believed that the Democratic leaders in Congress would do the right thing when it comes to the economy. And keep in mind, this is Democrats. Look at where we are now. That number has been slashed in half to just 39%. Holy Toledo, that is the lowest number by far in Gallup polling. The lowest previous was just 60%, which is 21 points higher than this. Democrats hate what their congressional leaders in Washington are doing right now on the key issue of the day, the economy, and their confidence has fallen through the floor, Mr. Berman.
All right, Chuck Schumer is the Senate Democratic leader right now. How are feelings about him, particularly in New York?
Yeah, let's go to the state of New York. It's what's always on my mind, right? We're in the state of New York right now. New York Democrats on Chuck Schumer view him favorably. In December of 2024, that was just a few months ago, it was 73%. Look at where that number has fallen to in just a few months. It is now down to just 52%. That is the lowest I could ever find in Siena College on how Democrats in China view him. And keep in mind, if
what you can see from this statistic right here, they said AOC is in the 60s%. Chuck Schumer is down to 52%. AOC, this is of Democrats. Only 52% of Democrats are for Chuck Schumer. And only in the 60s for the next best thing, the only thing they got, which is AOC. That tells you right there, they could lose the Senate seat in New York. Because almost 100% of Republicans don't want to have anything to do with either one of them. Half the Democrats don't want it. There's the election right there. Because you know that independents are going to be similar in their leanings. So look for some big changes in New York come 2026.
If you're thinking about a primary challenge, it would be a few years away. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's favorable rating among Democrats is considerably higher, in the 60s. So he is doing quite poorly in his own home state of New York. I never thought I'd see the day in which just 52% of New York Democrats review Chuck Schumer favorably. It's almost unfathomable.
Yeah, the footnote, the tiny footnote here, I think it will look much bigger to the Schumer team this morning as they look at that. When you're talking about Chuck Schumer, why? Is there an answer to your question? Is there an answer to the question of why his ratings dropped?
Yeah, it's because they simply put don't like the job he's doing as Senate leader. I mean, look at this. Should Schumer stay as Senate leader? Again, according to New York Democrats, just 50% say yes. Look at this number. 48% say no. This screams sirens should be going off. Primary challenge, primary challenge, primary challenge. When you're a Democrat in New York and these are your ratings, this is a big wake-up call if you're Chuck Schumer, John Berman.
Harry Etten, thank you very much. I'm glad we're using last names this morning.
We're
Sarah.
using full names. Full government.
Harry Etten, he's a showman, isn't he? He's a showman. I mean, even Democrats got to enjoy watching him. He puts on a good demonstration. So anyway, yeah, 50% of them don't like what they're doing. They think they're stupid. I didn't mean to leave Al Sharpton up, but what the heck, I might as well. Because all this business we're dealing with now, DEI, has to do with bigotry. Yeah, Todd, Schumer should take a hint from Durbin. What a big week. And these challenges, you know, another thing I was thinking about. Y'all walk down memory lane with me real quick. Remember when Mike Johnson froze the votes on the House floor, he said, for the rest of the week, because Nancy Mace was pushing the proxy vote, and it really made people upset and everything like it. But you remember what was on the table that didn't get voted on? It was where they were going to prevent judges from interfering with presidential proclamations. Did not give them the authority, because I said before, these district court judges are created by Congress and they're overseen by Congress. Congress could pass legislation that says they are not permitted to put nationwide injunctions. Do you remember that, folks? That was going to get voted on. Then I think that Nancy Mace trying to do that move was an operation to stop that bill from passing. You know why? To flush all these people out and get them to take pen in hand. In other words, give them enough rope so they can be identified. If the House had gone through with that, we wouldn't know anything about this Sharia law guy, anything about the judge trying to stop proof of citizenship and and the nation would be getting the education they're getting right now. They're getting frustrated because what's Trump been telling everybody? The tariffs are going to replace taxes. The tariffs are going to be spread out among the people. What has Doge taught us? That they've been stealing us blind, that we would have thousands of dollars in our own pockets for what they've stolen from Social Security, Medicaid, now unemployment insurance, and a great many other things. And these judges are trying to block all of that. They want to allow the New World Order to be in your back pocket forever. Slavery, I've said it before. But what else is going on? The front, the back, the effing center. CBS settles white SEAL team staffer who claimed discrimination. CBS is trying, well, CBS is owned by Paramount, and Paramount is trying to merge with another company, and they have these lawsuits hanging over their head. They've got to. So CBS has got this booger. They got to get rid of. Got to remember that from school. I got a booger on my finger and I can't get it off. But anyway, that's from way back. A hippie snapping his fingers. Why you snap your fingers? I got a booger on my finger and I can't get it off. But anyway, they settled. Undisclosed amount. But prior to the settlement, the SEAL team guy who was discriminated against in hiring and being given projects because he would not toe the DEI line wanted at least $500,000 and job guarantees for future or what. But there's two things this makes me go, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. One is Disney's lawsuit with Elon Musk backing Gina Carrera or whatever her name is over her DEI discrimination. That's going to be multi-million dollar lawsuit, and it's going to Discovery. And the other thing is they got one more problem. CBS has got one before Paramount can move forward. Do you all know which lawsuit that is? 60 Minutes, Donald J. Trump, for how much? $5 billion? Election interference? All kinds of stuff. So the temperature's getting turned up. And we're seeing so much that even we didn't know. Much less normal people. The normies. What's this little blurb about here? I'm not sure. Let me see. He got a pink tie on. That doesn't mean anything. Let's see. If he's got pink fingernails, that does mean something.
They've responded to a third swatting call targeting Austin Metcalf's family. Massive police response. Investigators say someone reported a shooting at Jeff Metcalf's house on Monday night. That's the second swatting call to Austin Metcalf's father. And it comes days after we learned someone placed a similar call to his mother Megan's home. Their son was stabbed to death 3 weeks ago at a track meet in Frisco.
Yeah, the father, the family, getting swatted over and over again. Boy, America's going to get educated on this thing, on this case, with this kid losing his life. There was another incident. I think Jack Posobiec, that's Zelensky. Jack Posobiec put it up, if I could find it real quick, about a kid in Fairfax, Virginia, got arrested for taking a KNIFE to another student, a copycat. When I find it, I'll come across it. This is that dopey judge. Let me see what this is. Preliminary injunction. At least they didn't do a temporary restraining order. This is immediately appealable. Defendants and their officers, agents, servants, blah, 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 are hereby restrained and enjoined from directly or indirectly taking any action to withhold, freeze, or condition federal funds from the executive order where Trump was withholding funds from sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are actively aiding and abetting the unlawful presence of dangerous, predatory infiltrators, at the very least, and also violating federal law concerning sheltering, harboring, aiding your regular old illegal immigrants. And this judge is saying that she has more going on in her head than the President of the United States. So anyway, Pritzker and all them, I just go back to that judge's wife with the handcuffs on and being put in an ICE vehicle. Because I tell you, we've been down this road. We've been down this road. Right here. Presidential order. The schoolhouse door. The stand at the schoolhouse door. There you see a commander saluting, finishing a salute to George Wallace. Foster Auditorium at the University of Alabama, June 11th, 1963. I wonder if that's a date that's going to stick out. Is that the day they're going to take action? That was when Kennedy sent the military down there to move Wallace out of the way or take him in custody. One or the other. You either move or you're going. George Wallace. I remember that. I remember when George Wallace got shot. Anyway, here is... Whoops. Let me get this up here. This is... Come on. This is when he was telling him in front of a crowd. You know they don't... You know they're not going to show any of this footage. When the governor was defying the President of the United States, 5 months later, of course, John F. Kennedy lost his life. There we go. He finished his salute. Remember, there was a lectern standing there. The lectern is gone. And behind him, behind the commander there, I believe it was the 101st Air Force. I'm not sure who went down there. But they went with a show of force. But for the cameras, it wasn't to threaten or intimidate. It was where the commandant went up and told him, I'm here by the authority of the President of the United States to tell you to stand aside. And he stood aside. That was the end of it. And of course, George Wallace had a dramatic life. He was the attempt on his life right around the same time Martin Luther King got shot, Robert Kennedy got shot, JFK got shot, George Wallace got shot. George Wallace ended up disavowing his segregationist past and was a respected leader in the black community with churches and things like that. He was crippled in a wheelchair for the rest of his life after that assassination attempt. And what do kids today know about any of that stuff? Nothing. Zero. I'm just looking at the chats here. Enough of the clown show. That's right. Well, we got it. We got it. We got a lot of people who are young and going out working 9 to 5s, working overnight. About after sleep, they may have 3 hours at home to themselves in order to keep a roof over their head. They're not like the little girl I played at the beginning with a HUD paid for house and a boyfriend's sneaking in, living with her, bringing drug money. You know, most people that vote are responsible people, and they don't have time to keep up with all the stuff that we have been keeping up with. Look here. Look at this nitwit. Nitwit alert. This is concerning the government worker who worked for Tim Walz and went around and vandalized around a half a dozen Teslas and caused over $20,000 worth of damage.
So diversion is accountability. The case was submitted to us by the police. We did not decline it. We looked at the case. What we really wanted was for the victim person to be held accountable. We are accomplishing both of those by requiring him to go through a diversion program and to pay restitution to all 6 victims. What happened to those victims of those Teslas should not have happened. And just like any other property offense, which is one of the lowest level offenses that we have, we seek to hold people accountable in a way that will be consistent with public safety. And diversion is a proven way of
a property offense. It's just a property offense. No, I'm afraid it's not. And I think the Justice Department will step in to set an example, make an example of this person, not for his damage to his property, but for harassing and disturbing, or you could say terrorizing, people who have different political views. Because the diversion program and the restitution, that means he's going to keep his job. The restitution is probably going to come from a pay raise, some form of money extracted from U.S. aid, where he does some, quote, charitable work, or what. Believe me, he's not going to get one of his feathers ruffled. A low misdemeanor property crime times 6, where the President of the United States has said that crimes against the corporation of Tesla and Tesla customers would be considered political terrorism. Nice haircut, you old hag. Creepy looking thing. Anyway, let's see. Let me see what's going on. Yeah, GoFundMe. Well, they'll probably have to start that up if... Here's a Democrat out of Florida. They're pushing for those books. And remember all the misrepresentation. Don't say gay. Being able to say gay was quit trying to cultivate children. But anyway, that's in the past. But here's a Democrat representative in Florida who's puked out. Puked out. Like I said, the Democrat Party's revolting. The rest of them are leaving the party.
Whom I'm finding may not want it. There'll be a caucus meeting later this afternoon where I hope that the members of the Democratic caucus will elect a new leader. For today, I to no party affiliation. Joe Scott should receive that by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning in Broward County. And here's why. Our constituents are craving practical leaders, not political hacks. We are entrusted to be guided by our conscience, and while I suppose it's easier in theory than it is in application, Even my worst detractors have no valid claim that I can be bullied, that I can be bought, or even borrowed for a special interest. I am my father's son, even in his death. I am my mother's son while she is still alive. I will not miss another one of her birthdays, and I will return to who I was when I became a young man, independent in thought, in my passion, and my conscience, not consultants.
Oh, very, very interesting. He made a point to say, I am my father's son. And he's not going to miss one of his mother's birthdays. He said that later on in the speech. Oh, the people that can't stand the patriarchy are driving them crazy. What else did he say? He wouldn't be bribed. He wouldn't be threatened. He couldn't, I think he said he couldn't be bought. That to me says bribe. What does he know? Let me tell you. Some birds that sing the sweetest, we always talk about birds singing, are free birds. Okay? He's freed himself from this insane dogma. Okay? That sounded to me like a genuine divorce from woke ideology and the Democrat Party. I think he is genuine. And in the past, I have said that if the White Hats had taken what many creators were trying to get clicks about, that there was military stepping in, that there was going to be a forcible removal of Biden, mass arrests, if all that would have occurred, I said it would divide this country permanently. This guy is an example. If we would have done this kind of stuff that a lot of these clickbaiters, the Phil got a loose screwski, we're talking about, or hinting at Michael Jaco and who's that other idiot? I can't remember. You'd have never got this guy to see the light. And the thousands and thousands of people that voted for him, millions of people that voted for him, they would have automatically been fearful, in the dark, and thought that this country was descending into dictatorship. Now you know why we're on that long march. I said 3 years ago we were going to be on a long march. Over 3 years ago. But here it is. Do you know how big of a deal it is to publicly step away from your party? What it does about your funding, makes you a target. In normal times, to do this would have been the end of his political career, but it is just the beginning. That's what we want to see. People waking up, people getting fed up, and having unity. Now, one thing about Democrats, they don't care about children. They can get piled up in the dumpster with their interior organeos sold off. They don't care. You can see a kid at a track meet lose his life in a second over a squabble. They don't care. You could see a cop go to jail because a drug addict criminal OD'd. He can go away for the rest of his life. They don't care. They can see grandmothers and innocent people who walk around, go to jail for years and lose their homes. They don't care about that. But hurt an animal, okay? Let me see if this is the right... Only on 10, a great white heron. Oh, yeah, this is it. About a great white heron. You know, I've seen plenty of herons. You know, they're the long, skinny-legged birds. They're usually gray. They're all over Hell's Half Acre. They'll steal your crabs. But anyway, Yeah, if you leave your crab pot unattended, they'll come and gobble them right down. But anyway, there's a little surprise to this story at the end. And like I say, this business of showing Fauci torturing beagles, now they're bringing it out that they're still going on with taking mice and hamsters and switching their organs, doing transgender research by doing this. Now, animals they'll worry about, okay? Humans, forget it, but animals they'll worry about. There's a little twist at the end of this story.
And is being sent back into the wild months after it was abused, sadly, at the hands of a fisherman.
A team rehabilitated the federally protected bird and released him today at Billback State Park. Local 10's Hannah Yashivi joins us live from Key Biscayne with this exclusive. Hey, Hannah.
Christy, Alexis, and this story has such a happy ending. Just a few hours ago, 2 workers from the Pelican Harbor Seabird Station bringing that recovered bird right here, actually to the same spot that they picked up the bird more than is flying free.
You want to do it over here?
Yes.
Walking to the exact spot at Billback's Cape Florida State Park in Key Biscayne, where this great white heron was found. We got him from right in front of that tree over there. She got him 94 days ago with a broken wing. Yeah, he looks great and ready to go, I think. Great now, but for the last few months, this federally protected species had been going through all sorts of surgery, treatment, and therapy to fully recover.
A fisherman got frustrated with the bird because it was coming up after his bait or his food, and picked up a rock and threw it and happened to hit it right on the wing, fracturing his bone.
Police officers finding the man, Edgar Estuardo Valenzuela, responsible of hitting the bird so hard with a rock, he almost lost his wing and possibly his life.
This investigation concluded with holding that individual accountable.
An act that typically comes with a hefty fine and some days behind bars. Bye. Now to the moment we were all waiting for. To avoid scaring the heron, folks here quietly cheering him on as the bird flew free. It was a long road, not just for us and the work that we did, but for him. So, I don't know, I really can't put it into words. It's really special. So special that these efforts are giving this great white heron a second chance at life.
And the fisherman responsible for the bird's injury was detained and quickly booked into jail. Officers there realizing that he was living right here in the United States illegally in Guatemala. We're live in Key Biscayne. Hannah Yashivi, Local 10 News.
Here illegally. Deported to Guatemala. You know, Guatemala's not that big. You could go by and say hi to Abrego Garcia's ex-cop father and his siblings. But anyway, yeah, they saved it to the end of the story. He was just a fisherman who got frustrated. But no, he was here illegally. Do you think there's going to be congressmen going down to save this guy that broke a bird's wing? But no, did they care about Lincoln Riley? Did they care about all the other victims and the victims that are going to happen? Are going to be victimized? But they give a damn about a bird. No, it's okay to deport him. Here we have Trump put this out because, he thinks veterans are suckers and losers, right? That's the lie, another one of the lies, the hoaxes they put out. But here he is meeting with wounded veterans.
These are amazing people, great heroes. Unbelievable the job they do. It's really an honor to be with you, all of you. Incredible.
You know, when you think about it, all the money that's being stolen, not just by illegal aliens, but the New World Order and the principalities, they're taking money right out of the pockets of those men who lost their legs and arms, taking away time and services. People are going to start waking up and seeing that. And there's no stopping it. There's no stopping. What is coming is the awakening, folks. Justice is coming, but the first thing that's coming that they cannot stop is an awakening. The first necessary ingredient. Anyway, Dan Scavino put this little clip up. Let me see what it is.
I would go. We'll all go together to Norway.
Oh, yes, please do.
I want to go skiing.
I love
Norway. I love Norway.
Why?
It's beautiful. And beautiful people.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
That's right. He met with, I can't say the guy's name. I hope he didn't put it in here. Store. He met with the new Norwegian Prime Minister. He said he'd love to go skiing. Trump could probably, I know Trump can ski because I remember his wife, his first wife, Ivana, found out about Marla Maples, and Trump was skiing down a hill, and she came up and she was skiing backwards, pointing her finger in his face and skiing backwards. You remember all that? She was a heck of an athlete. But Trump can ski. But anyway, so that went well and shows that Trump is doing a lot of things besides worrying about what these insane judges are doing. Here's some reports I got just before I went live. Not bending the knee. Who's saying that? Beryl Howell, I believe, was formerly retired, but somehow she's getting all these cases where she could be a thorn in the sides of the American people for her whacked out agenda. A federal judge on Wednesday sharply criticized the Justice Department over an executive order signed by President Trump that it was about Perkins Coie, Hillary Clinton's law firm. Then we got another judge. A federal judge issued temporary restraining order to keep detained Columbia student in Vermont. The one we saw get arrested. They baited him in to take his citizenship oath, and they said, April Fools, and they put him in handcuffs. Well, there's some whacked out judge, egghead liberal, wants to keep Moshe Madawi from Columbia. He doesn't look Moshe Madawi? Columbia College, who was arrested. Well, she's sticking up for him. Does she know about Sharia law too? Is she a Sharia law expert? Is this where Trump was? No, not that one. Let me see. Where was Trump talking about a big meeting he's going to have? Let's see if this is it. Let's see. Later today, yeah. I will be meeting with, of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic. I said a long time ago was a commie rag, and the person responsible for many fictional stories about me, including the made-up hoax on Suckers and Losers, and Signalgate, something he was somewhat more successful with. Boy, how do you think this meeting is going to go? You know that hoax of suckers and losers really PO'd Trump off. I think he's going to make him tell who the source was for that story. I think Trump already knows. I think he's going to get an apology out of him. And I think the person responsible for that so-called leak of fabricated lie is going to find themselves in jail. Whoever leaked that suckers and hoax lie, whoever made that up and leaked it, is sweating tonight. Jeffrey is bringing with him Michael Shearer and Ashley Parker, not exactly pro-Trump writers either, to put it mildly. The story they are writing, they have told my representatives would be entitled the most consequential president of this century. I am doing the interview out of curiosity and as a competition with myself, just to see if it is possible for the Atlantic to be, quote, truthful. Are they capable of writing a fair story on Trump? The way I look at it, what can be so bad? I won. We will be watching that with great interest. He had a lot of other truths he put out, which I can go over tomorrow. I'll do another one here. Whoa. That is pertinent to what we're seeing. The implosion of the Democrat Party, the exposure of these judges being pulled out of retirement to foil the lawful operations of government. The Democrats are fighting like hell to keep murderers and all other type of criminals solidly in the United States of America. They have gone crazy and are only getting worse. Amen to that. I have got, again, I went through the whole video without asking for your thumbs up. I got a fun video I know you'll enjoy on the way out about Barack Hussein Obama. And, you know, as a bonus after this, I might play The Hobbit crying. What was his name? George Conway crying at the end. I know you all will enjoy it because I think he had something to do with that suckers and losers hoax too. He'll be crying one day for sure. But anyway, folks, thank you, everybody that helped me out. Buy me a coffee. Gary helped out last night, and I do appreciate it. I gave him some booms earlier. And we're going into the last week of the month. But I appreciate everyone who has helped support the channel. And I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. So, enjoy this video. I'll be seeing you soon. Watch out for Crying George at the end. You all have a great night. This is Mountain Man. Over and out.
Lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests. I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try. I will tell you what democracy is. Democracy is the way.
I'm going to get moist-eyed here, or whatever it is that these people seem to be. And I went so far, actually, yesterday to Arnold and Porter. That also was very moving because something people want, and I wanted, and us. We're all in this together, rule of law. And some people just don't give a shit, and that makes me angry. Granddaughters of Judge Rifkin,